University's Center for Psychiatric Rehabilitation's goal is to connect our viewers with supportive resources in the community and to help individuals enhance their career development and overall well-being. Everyone can be successful with the right support.
In the last ditch, I think of you. In the last ditch, I will be true.
Hello and welcome to Employment for All, where we believe everyone can be successful with the right supports. My name is Kimberly Bissett, and I'm here to help you get a job, change jobs, or advance in the job you currently have. We'd like to say thank you to the Department of Mental Health for sponsoring Employment for All, and we'd like to also remind you that each week we come here and we connect you with individuals who have their expertise to share, their knowledge, and could help you connect up to your career potential and also increase your overall well-being. And this week is no exception. We actually are delighted to welcome back Elena Weinberg. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
We'd like to have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, as we do every week on Employment for All.
Currently, I'm seeking volunteer positions at both Carroll Center for the Blind and the YMCA. And I love to cook, and I love cats.
Absolutely, very cool, very cool. So you kind of tell us a diverse array of interest. You have a diverse kind of array of interests, and you're also a client of Side by Side. So let's talk a little bit about, for the people who don't know, what is Side by Side supported living?
Side by Side is a program that helps individuals prepare and implement different skills to prepare them for independent living.
Great. So Side by Side, it's actually a beautiful building right on Beacon Street, and if you went by, you wouldn't know it was any other building, and it's kind of a unique niche that they have. There are about 16 residents who might need extra support. They might be people with mental health issues who need extra support, and the Side by Side staff supports them. And then the rest of the individuals in the building, which they have about 60 apartments approximately, are individuals who are in the community. They might be young professionals, either in studios or one-bedroom apartments. So it's a truly integrated living situation that really works well for the residents, for the clients.
I like the idea that it blends in. It doesn't stick out in the building. It's not like a group home situation. And I liked that when I first moved in. I liked that it was very private in that sense.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, it's 1470 Beacon Street. It's a great location. It's a beautiful building. It's very pristine. It's very clean. And in fact, the handyman is always around. He's fantastic. And I wish when I lived in buildings, I wish my handyman was that present. Paul is just always around, always fixing something, always very attentive to people.
Yeah.
So it's really a nice living situation for people. It's very positive. It's very proactive. And it's a very supportive community. So that's kind of the overall building space. Let's talk a little bit about the community. What attracted you to Side by Side, and what do you like about it?
I was attracted to Side by Side exactly for what they are, to prepare me to eventually live out on my own, which now I do.
Yay, which is very exciting, cool.
Yes, I actually live right down the street. Coincidentally, it ended up working out very well, because I did want to live very near to the building because of the friends that I've made, the relationships that I've established, and obviously living close to a place I felt comfortable, an environment I felt comfortable. And so I live about a block and a half away. I have my own apartment. Again, it is just a regular apartment building, and I'm actually the youngest one in the building.
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting. And I love it. It's a bit more modern looking than the other building, but it's still, both of them are nice.
Cool, cool. So you've actually become kind of what the goal of Side by Side is, and you're still transitioning. You still have some services at Side by Side, but you live independently.
Yes.
So let's talk about some of those services. They have one of their, they're very much in line with Employment for All, and they believe that everyone can be successful with the right supports. And And one of the things Keith Duclos always mentions when he connects with them, when they're thinking of living it side by side, he says, you know, what are your goals and how can I help you? And I think that's a really powerful question. And side by side can customize supports for those people. One of the supports is a morning meeting. Every meeting they get together with many of the clients, many of the residents to kind of set their day in the right direction. Can you talk about how that's helpful?
Waking up at the bright and early hour of 8:15 in the morning, or the morning meeting is at 8:15, so my days start pretty early. And at first it was difficult. I'm not a morning person, but it actually is nice. We go, we discuss our goals, we discuss what's going on in the world, the weather. I'm the weather person every day. And even on days when I don't want to get up at all, and I just want to turn off the alarm and go back to sleep, I know it's a really great, positive way to start the day, a good way to wake up and establish a time, you know. And I like the fact that I'm able to establish goals for the day. Sometimes it's more of a to-do list, but sometimes it's just what's going on during the day, and then be able to the next day review, and it's Mondays through Fridays.
Fantastic, and I think that's so important because it does give people a purpose, a destination early in the morning, a reason to get out of bed. And if you're not there, people call you and say, where were you, what's going on? And people hold you accountable. Okay, how did you do? They actually, you know, kind of people say what they're going to do today, and the next day you say, well, did you accomplish what you set out to do?
Right.
Just 3 or 4 things. And that I think really gives people a structure to their day. Okay, what appointments do you have? It helps people kind of bring to mind what they need to do, a level of accountability, but also a level of care.
Right.
So I think it's a really neat way.
And the staff then knows what's going on during your day, so to get an idea whether it's general errands or a doctor's appointment, then they know, you know, you have a doctor's appointment for whatever reason, and just to know what's clinically going on in your life.
Right,
absolutely. That's one of the parts of the program.
And it also cuts through the isolation because a lot of people who experience mental health issues feel very isolated, and they can get caught up either on the computer or get caught up and not want to go out. They're not sometimes people experience not being able to reach out to other people. So I see a lot of times in the community meetings, people say, hey, you watching the Patriots? I'll watch the Patriots with you. Hey, you going out to CVS? I'll walk with you. Hey, do you want to grab a cup of coffee? Yeah. And that kind of breaks down the isolation because you get used to seeing people in the morning. You can easily kind of connect in with people rather than kind of be, you know, kind of in your own space.
Or sleep until noon.
Right, or sleeping till noon, which is a big temptation if you're not having structure. And I know structure is a big part of side by side and a big part of the effectiveness. Like they have requirements where you have to be actively involved in activity.
20 hours.
20 hours, and that can be a
and
volunteer.
They try to enforce that. They try to really enforce that.
Right, so that can be volunteering. Like you mentioned, you're interested in volunteering at the YMCA, or you might be working at the Carroll Center for the Blind. So it can also be classes at the Boston University Center for Psychiatric Rehabilitation.
Which I also do.
Which you're also involved in, absolutely. And it could be also classes. There are people involved at Boston College. There are people involved in different colleges across the state through side by side. So it can be any level of engagement. It can also be community engagement, plays, theater, arts. So it's really just having something where you're contributing and you're being part of the community. And I think that's a really important aspect of side by side.
And even if it's just going and doing something, even if you're running errands, but maybe you have one appointment a day, at least you're doing something.
Right, you're getting out, you're being involved, absolutely. Now, one of my other favorite things about Side by Side is the dinner program, and I know that's
my favorite.
That's your favorite too. And so tell us about that.
Every, actually specifically Monday through Thursday nights, about 3 to 4 people each night cook dinner with staff assistants. And then at 6 o'clock, about 4 to 5 other clients will come. Maybe about 4 clients will come, and everyone will have dinner together and be able to interact with each other, talk about their day, building communication skills, building interpersonal relationship skills. That could be used outside too.
No, it's fantastic. Now talk about kind of some of the support. Now, So you choose what you cook,
Right.
and then the staff will help you in terms of the level. You're quite a good cook, so
Yeah.
you don't need as much support, but what are some of the supports they provide other people?
You know, it depends on the person. Someone may not be able to cut vegetables or something not well, so maybe they'll do that. Someone might not be able to know how to, you know, use a stove or an oven as well, or may not be as organized, setting the table, may just be kind of run around hurried, not that organized in general, and the staff is able to help keep things straight within that hour of cooking time to make sure everything is done.
Right, so it's really fantastic because if the goal is to be living on your own, it really steps a person through the process. Like Side by Side also provides support to going grocery shopping. So it might be making a list. Okay, you're having people over. Okay, so we make a list. What do you need for chicken, ziti, and broccoli? Chicken, ziti, broccoli. Okay, you got to make sure no one has a wheat allergy if you're going to use wheat pasta, or a gluten allergy for that particular, or you get gluten-free pasta.
And also enough, the amount. If
amount.
it's hard for you to figure out the amount, having help with that. So because cooking has various aspects to it. It's not just preparing the food, it's knowing how much to buy for 4 or 5 people.
Right, which can be tricky for people, and knowing when to get to the grocery store in terms of, okay, how do if I have to thaw chicken. I remember once a resident came down and said, when should I take out my chicken? Okay, when are you cooking? And we had to, you know, figure out the number of hours and how they would do it. And so he knew that, you know, you couldn't leave it out for an indeterminate amount of time because then it would be dangerous. So kind of checking in and learning those skills. And it's really my favorite kind of coaching. I call it at the elbow coaching, because you know, we can give someone a recipe and someone can look blankly at the recipe like, what do I do with this? But when you're with them, it really prepares people to cook healthfully also as well when they go out. I know they have a contest. You want to talk about the contest where you have to have the different aspects of a healthy meal.
Right. They have a pyramid prize, I think that's the name of it, where it's a protein and a starch and a vegetable that all go together to make a healthy, balanced meal. They focus very highly between, you know, a lot of side-by-side focus on wellness.
Right, and that's fantastic. So it's really encouraging people. So the person who cooks the most well-balanced meals in a month gets a prize.
Right.
So it's to really encourage people to remember, okay, don't just have hamburgers, but put a vegetable on the side, maybe put a starch, so that people get a really kind of well-balanced meal.
Right, and sometimes they're more so encouraged, well, might it make a turkey burger versus hamburger?
Right.
I'm not a personal fan of turkey versus beef, but you know, it is healthier. So, but and that's what they encourage.
Right, and just to kind of give you alternatives and thought processes, and I'm kind of a huge turkey burger fan, so it's kind of funny. So it's thinking about, you know, what choices do you make, and you know, and how do you make, you know, if you're gonna have fries, sweet potato fries, or you know, like thinking about how to integrate those.
Yeah,
So-
or I made chicken. I think it was last week or the week before, and I've learned in the past that when I've baked chicken, there's a lot of fat. It collects a lot of fat and grease. So I turned and I decided, well, I'm just going to cook it in the pan because it's healthier.
Oh, great.
And it doesn't create as much fat. It doesn't sit in its own stuff and get disgusting and make it really unhealthy.
Great. So it's little choices that help people as they think about moving out on their own to do that. And
Baby
also,
steps.
Baby steps, absolutely, breaking things down. And also, I think it's key, the social aspect, to get people used to kind of the kind of chit-chat, I would call it, what's critical for work, because we are on Employment for All, would be this water cooler conversation, you know, kind of talking about your day, you know, kind of interacting with people in a very kind of social, kind of connecting way, which I think really helps people think about and get prepared for going back out into the community, going out to dinner with friends, going to participate more fully in family activities. And I think the dinner program really fosters that, because there are different topics. It can be news topics, it can be just kind of daily topics, it can be TV shows, things like that.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me sometimes of just sitting at the dinner table like I used to do with my family.
Right. And I
But
think
a little bit different, but, you know, the same idea, talking about what's going on, engaging.
engaging, it's very critical. And I know I look forward to that time at my house with my family, that we connect in. How was your day? How was, what'd you do? What do we need to do tomorrow? What do we make sure that's, high priority on our list? And I know that's important to Keith Duclos, the president, to have that family atmosphere. I think that's a critical piece. And now you also have classes at Side by Side, and one of them is a goals class, which also kind of falls in line. Can you tell us about the goals class?
I actually like that. We established, it's a 10-week class, and at the start we establish goals, and each person establishes a goal in the long term for the 10-week period, and each week takes a step towards the long-term goal.
Great, great. And really kind of breaks it down. You mentioned earlier kind of baby steps.
Yeah.
So it makes it much more manageable and much more, but kind of easier to approach when you break it down, break it down, break it down. And that's one of the central tenets here at Employment for All, is to kind of break it down into manageable steps, which I think is very critical.
I know one of the people in the group wanted to run, I think it was 5 miles within an hour. Well, you can't just step on a treadmill.
Right.
You knew that right away. You got to build it up.
Right. That would be, you'd be in a lot of pain if you could even do it.
So you start little baby steps, maybe, 2 miles in an hour or something like that. Or, I don't exactly know what, I'm not exactly a fitness expert or anything like that.
But yeah, breaking it down into manageable chunks, kind of taking it day by day. Okay, run a little bit more every day. Kind of start walking and then run a little bit more and a little bit more.
Or even wanting to learn something. You're not going to know it right away. Baby steps.
Absolutely.
Playing an instrument or, anything like that.
Absolutely. Do you want to share what one of your goals was?
My goal is to help myself to promote, to do things to promote and help with my mental and physical wellness. So whether it's exercising or finding time to do things that I enjoy, because that's important.
Yes.
To wake up and say, well, I'm gonna watch my favorite TV show.
Right.
And so that's like, I guess that would be mental wellness, because you're doing something that makes you happy and you're not sitting around moping about something that may have happened earlier in the day.
Right, absolutely. So it
Something
is
to look forward to.
Right, it is concentrating your efforts on the positive things, focusing on and self-care is a critical piece, which can fall down if you get too absorbed in other things. So I think Side by Side does a great job of that.
Yeah, and cooking, of course. Sometimes even when it's not my day to cook, sometimes I'll just make something small, and it's my time to zone out, maybe listen to some music, get into that frame of mind where everything just kind of, it's my time.
That's what you enjoy, and that's what you kind of get lost in that activity because you enjoy it and it's really important to you.
Yeah,
oh, that's fantastic.
Definitely.
And that's important because a lot of people sometimes get so locked into kind of doing things and making their lives so difficult, but you have to build in that time. Even if you're job searching or doing something that's really important, you have to take that time out and care for yourself. You have to sharpen the saw, if you will, in order to move forward, so that's really critical.
Yeah. And from what I know, I've heard from other people, but I've always known myself, mental and physical wellness work together.
Yes.
If you wake up in the morning and you're really grumpy, maybe you're not going to have the motivation to walk.
Right.
Or, to do something, to help yourself physically. Or if you're not in the mood to exercise, or, you just don't exercise in general, maybe, because exercise has been proven.
Yes.
To help with mental wellness. And so they go hand in hand. You need one to help with the other.
Absolutely. Physical well-being is so important to emotional well-being, and emotional well-being is so important to physical well-being. I think that's a crucial point. That actually leads us into Side by Side does a lot of activities. Can you talk about some of those that help people?
They do a wellness program, which I did do when I was a residential client, but now I just do things on my own. They actually go to the YMCA. They have several clients have gym memberships, and I'm not exactly sure what, because I haven't been there yet, but all sorts of, I'm sure, walking on the treadmill, weights, different things.
Yes.
And so that's what they do. They go about, I think, 3 days a week. And then there's Saturday activities, things such as going to museums or local plays, a favorite of all the clients is going to dinner and a movie. We always do that once a month.
Oh, nice.
Going to the nearby movie theater and seeing the latest something or other.
Right, who doesn't
The
love
latest
dinner and a
flick.
movie? Right, exactly.
You know, you watch a preview for a movie and you're like, oh, I really want to see that. And then dinner and a movie comes up and you go see your favorite movie and you're with people.
Right.
And so even when it's not that activity, you're with people. You're again, it's just a lot. The idea of the dinner program, side by side, encourages wellness. They encourage communication. They encourage a lot of different things that all go hand in hand. And the Saturday activities promote social interaction.
Right, absolutely. And they actually, all the tenants, it's kind of beautifully throughout, you see kind of the themes. Like, okay, so even though you're going to dinner and a movie, you go to see a movie that you like, but you're out to dinner, so you're practicing your social skills, you're learning how to kind of order in a way that's healthy. I know they give some prompts around that, kind of thinking about, well, what choices would be good. And they also do kind of trips as well, and they do, they recently did, is it a dual-a-thon? Is that what it's called? Okay.
Sunday.
Sunday.
A few clients did that.
You want to explain what that is?
I didn't do that myself, but from what I understood, it was walking and doing biking.
Right.
And then I think walking, biking, and walking, from what I understand.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I could be a little bit wrong, but because I
And I
didn't
think
do it
some people
myself.
ran. But it's a dual-a-thon. I thought that was pretty cool. And so they actually do, and they've done triathlons in the past. Keith has done the marathon, I think, several times. So getting people involved in physical wellness activities and competitions. And they've also gone on trips.
Yes.
Have you been on any of the trips?
A few of them. We've gone to New York City. In general, trips have gone. Every winter, there's an annual ski trip.
Oh, nice.
In the summer, there's an annual whitewater rafting trip. A few years in a row, since I started the program, we've gone to New York City. We did go to Washington, D.C. last May in 2010.
Neat.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
That was really cool. We got to see a lot of different museums and sites and different places.
Fantastic. So that's really a neat piece. And I know that one of the tenets that's important to Side by Side as well is to have the activities be very much community involved. So it's not a group of, 20 or 30 people going out. It might be smaller groups of 5 or 10 or 15. So it looks like a group of friends going out. There's nothing distinctive or that would call attention to the groups.
And the smaller the group is, the easier it is to establish a social connection during the outing. If it's 20 people, how people are going to break up into groups, and then there's really no social connection between the group itself.
Right, and there's a lot that happens when you're kind of hanging out with people. Like I know you've gone apple picking and on the duck tours and things like that. So it spurs conversation. It also makes it less pressure-filled than just kind of always sitting across from the table with someone. But doing things together, and I know that's a big piece of it, whether you're chopping vegetables next to someone or you're going for a walk or you're heading to the gym. It's building these connections that'll help people build connections outside. So it's kind of I see Side by Side as kind of a launching pad to help people kind of move forward.
I love it. It truly does feel like a family to me. It's meant to, I think, unless I'm wrong, I feel like it's maybe meant to mimic that atmosphere, and it really does. It really feels like a family to me. Every day, it feels more and more like, more and more close-knit. You need some guidance from someone. Maybe you're going through a rough time. It's like having brothers and sisters, like being able to turn to a friend or even, turn to staff or to anybody, just having that close connection.
Absolutely, and I think that's the community, the family feel that Keith is striving for, and that's why he puts a lot of emphasis on the community activities, on the dinners, on the presence and people being in attendance and the morning meetings, to putting it all together to help people feel supported and to feel part of something kind of larger than themselves,
right?
Which I think is really a key piece to the success of the individuals in the program and also the overall program.
Right.
Fantastic. Well, I'd like to say thank you very much, Elena, for being on the show once again.
Oh, you're welcome.
We're really excited to have you.
Enjoy it.
And I think that you've shared some really insightful pieces about side-by-side and why it works and why a lot of the individuals have moved forward, including yourself.
I recommend it.
Which congratulations on
program to
moving
look
to
into.
your own place. That's
Yeah.
very cool. And maybe we'll have you again when you when you land either at one volunteer place or at your new position.
Gladly.
And that would be a lot of fun. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I'd like to say thank you very much to our viewers for once again tuning into Employment for All. And this is Kim Bissett. I'd like to say thank you to the Department of Mental Health for sponsoring Employment for All, where we believe everyone can be successful with the right supports. And we've talked a lot today about how important it is to feel that support and to have that support. So I'd like you to look for that person who might just be in need of a little extra support to reach their full potential and help them move forward in their lives. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful afternoon.